That's a lot of what we do, man. We help good men who are in bad situations.
Yeah, we've had several people who have come to us in a bad situation and they just can't get out of their own way sometimes. And that's the thing, right? Like sometimes you don't realize that you're in the situation until it's too late. And then the hardest part is how do you get out of it? And often it's the battle with yourself or how you get yourself out of it. Business is simple, it's just not easy. And so many people complicate it, and that's what gets them in this bad situation.
And it's funny, those bad situations that people are in, others may look at them and be like, I would kill to be in that bad situation. Most of the people we work with have already realized success and they're looking for that next level. And it's a weird position to be in, to watch someone in a bad situation. And it's allowing people to understand how to move to that next phase of your life. And you and I have both been in those situations where it's like in the moment, in the microcosm, it's bad, but in the grand scheme of things, like, damn, we're lucky. And that's where most people are. And that's that elevation of moving yourself into the next phase of your existence, whether that's in business or in your parenting, in your relationships, and your friendships, that ability to recognize I'm in transition to this next phase. While it feels bad right now, I can still progress forward. I can still be a good man or woman in those situations.
That's the key word, transition. Everybody that we work with is in some form of transition. And a transition phase is a place of change. It's a learning new things, letting go of old things. And it's recognizing that what brought you to this point is not going to take you any further unless you make some changes and do things differently and explore new opportunities. And that's where people get lost is they get stuck in the what are the new opportunities? I don't see any opportunities. There are no opportunities. And then they get overwhelmed by the lack of opportunity. And then it's like, I thought this was a transition where I was supposed to do something else. And then they need help getting pulled out of that hole, right? And now we're throwing them a lifeline or a life vest. Just say, here you go. Here's something to help you float a little bit till you get to the next point because you've got to get to that next point, right? Everybody we work with, we don't bring people to the next point. We facilitate the opportunity to the next point, and the person brings themselves to that point. And that's because we become, not to call out anything or showcase anything. I mean, we're like a lifesaver sometimes, but we're not a lifesaver. We're providing the support that's needed while you tread a little bit of water so that you can get to the shore and make it onto the boat or whatever so you can keep going on your path.
Yeah, it's a bridge, right?
Yeah, exactly. We bridge the gap.
But those are the gaps. It's like,
Oh,
people choose them. Like they're making choices on that gap that they're going to jump over. And it's like, man, do you really need that? Do you really want that? Do you really desire that? Or is it just society or childhood ambitions or societal expectations of yourself that I have to go there? And I watch so many good people dig deeper into a bad situation by going after things that there is truly not in their heart and soul. At the end of the day, you got to make money, you got to pay the bills, you got to, put shelter and food and all that stuff. That's another situation. But these ones where your pursuit is about more, about greatness, I question a lot of times why people are pursuing those things. And like, does this really matter to you? Or it's just a challenge you've put in front of you to make you feel invalidation of that pursuit itself?
well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, when they get into a certain situation, they feel like they're worthless if they don't figure a way out of it, right? It becomes a reflection of themselves in that process. And do you let everything else that's around you, society, whatever, influence how you're going to get to your next level? Or are you going to decide what you need to do, what's the right thing to do for you instead of what's right for everybody else? And I think that's what happens a lot of those times is people only consider what's right for everybody else and they don't consider what's right for themselves. And that's why they can never admit defeat, right? Sometimes you just got to throw in the towel.